Hi everybody, welcome back. Thunderbike build. Unfortunately we've not got any of the parts arrive in time to do any more work this week as we're into that final throes, as I said in the last video. So today's video is just going to be going on to a side project that I've been doing for somebody else. I've been building 2 engines for somebody. So today's video is the first part of a Testastretta build. So I'm going to be putting the bottom end together a little bit step back in time. So you'll tend to notice as the video's going around, you'll see a much less completed Thunderbike in the background. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, let's get on with this video. Welcome everybody. So today is going to be a slight departure from previous videos. I'm building an engine for somebody else, or 2 engines to be precise, a 998 and a 749. What he's given me here is a brand new set of cases, new old stock. These are 998 cases. They don't come with a number stamped. And what he's asked me to do is to make this into a 749 engine. So I've got all of the parts from a damaged 749. And I'm just going to be putting this into here. You can see these have been in storage for a fair old while, so a lot of dirt to clean off. So the first step is to get rid of things like the labels and make sure we've got a clean basis to build the engine from. All the bearings are new, but they're full of packing grease. So what we've got inside is a lot of packing grease and dirt that just needs to be taken out and cleaned up. We need to stick some main bearings in because they've been removed at some point. Just needs a really good clean, just so we know we're dealing with a good clean engine before we put these cases together. And then we've got to build it up from scratch. So an interesting little project, this one. I'm going to get on and clean these cases. You've seen that done in previous videos, so I'm not going to film that. It's a rather tedious operation. So see you in a minute. Okay, cases are clean, as you can see. Just been through there and just giving them all a good bougie. So now I've got to make all of this list of parts and these cases into an engine. I think, having looked through it, I've got everything bar the odd little bolts. I think there's a missing bolt there. I've already called the owner about. We're missing this key, but he's just bought me a load more round. I think we've got everything here to put the engine together. It's just a rehash of his existing engine, so a lot of parts are being reused, which I would question. Some should be replaced, but they're usable condition, just not perfect, which always makes me wince a little bit. But it's trying to get an engine that's built to his satisfaction at a cost that works for him. So everything is serviceable. It's just, you know, things like the engine studs just got scratches on them from where they were removed. I would personally replace them. But other than that, everything's been checked over and serviceable. We're going to put some additional new bearings in. I just noticed when I was cleaning it that the inside face here has been impacted by something when it was in its previous ownership, so I'm just going to clean that up. And then what we'll do is we'll move on to getting the main bearings in. Once I've got the main bearings in, we can then just drop everything in internally and just see roughly where we are at in terms of shim thickness. What I'll do this time for this engine is I'll show you how to do the datum measurements that sort of give you an indication of which side to hand the biggest shim to, which, because this is being built from scratch, I'll still use my pull-up method to make sure I've got the clearance. So an interesting little build, this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get the bearings into these cases. So I've got some new bearings to pop in. So let's get on with that. Okay, bearings are in. So we've got all the bearings in for the engine. I need just to get the clamp for this one. Stick the 2 bolts in here, and then we'll start getting the internals put in to give us a rough idea of where we are. Part of that process, I'm going to show you how we do the shimming for the actual main crankshaft bearings. I'll do the book measurements, and then that will explain that process. So get in there. Okay, I'm going to show you the book way to work out what shims you need for the crank. First off, what we're going to do is we're going to measure across the crank web. Then we're going to do the depth to each bearing from a known position on this piece of bar, and that will give us a number of measurements. So what we'll do is I'll do those measurements and then talk you through what I found. Okay. Okay, let's start putting these numbers together then. So we've got the bar measurement, which is 20.05 millimeters, and that's just a data measurement that I've taken from my bar. It doesn't reference anything in the manual. So we've got the crank at 87.91 millimeters. Ducati referenced this measurement as LA. The right hand case was 65.81, but we've got to take the 20.05 off. So that would be 45.76 millimeters. Now this is referenced as, sorry, let's put an equal in there. This is referenced as LA1. Then we had the left hand case measurement was 66.26, but if we take the 20.5 off, that's 46.21 millimeters, and that is referenced as LA2. And then crank preload, Ducati manual specifies 0.3 millimeters. I know from experience and from other tuners and engine builders on the web and that I race with, that if you use that, you can sometimes preload the bearings too much and get premature failure. So I tend to use anywhere between 0.1 and 0.15 millimeters. So we'll use 0.15. Okay. So what we need to do is work out the shim value. So shim value in the manual is called SA. All right. And that is LA1 plus LA2 plus the shim crank preload, which is 0.15, minus LA. So we are putting in 45.76 plus 46.21 plus 0.15 minus 87.91. So effectively we've got 5, 6, 2, 1, 2, 92.12 minus 87.91 millimeters, and that gives us a total shim value of 4.21 millimeters. So this is our shim value, SA. Right, there's an interesting piece here to bear in mind, that if you think where we've taken the centre line of the engine cases, we've got one bearing measurement on the right hand side and another bearing measurement on the left hand side, and they're bigger measurements. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that you don't split this directly in half, because you'll force the crank too far over this way. So you want a smaller shim here and a bigger shim here. Okay, so we need to work out how we position this crank so that it doesn't push all the way into the left hand side, because we overload it too much on the right hand side. So we need to split this measurement down. Okay, and the manual method of doing this, so we need to get SA1, which is a combination of we need to get SA, which is a combination of SA1 plus SA2, where SA1 is the shim thickness for LA1 and SA2 is the shim thickness for LA2. SA1 is the one that we work out first, and that is LA1, okay, plus half the preload, so 0.075 millimeters, minus the crank measurement divided by 2. Alright, so if we punch in those numbers, then that is 45.76 plus 0.075 minus 43.955, which is half the crank. That therefore gives us 45.835 minus 43.955. So that will give us, 5 goes away, that leaves 8. So we get 1.88 millimeters. If you use the maths backwards, all we need to get for SA2 is 4.21 minus the 1.88 equals 2.33. Okay, and then just to double check that back, you just go SA equals 1.88 plus 2.33, 4.21 millimeters. Yay! Right, so let's just SA1, SA2. We got 2.3 millimeters, 1.8. So what you can see there is that we will have a bigger shim on the left hand case, a smaller shim on the right hand case, which will keep our crank centralized. So what I'm going to do, as we start putting this engine together, I'm going to now check what we've got. So I am going to use I'm going to use 2 times 2 millimeter shims. See that we've got an end float of 0.1, so we need to add about 0.2. So okay, so we've got all of the internals in and back together. Okay, let's get the cover on. So we're just going to put it on loosely for now, because the owner has got some titanium bolts he'd like to stick in. So line up the pump. just putting in the new oil pump shims, guides. I've just got to go in there. Okay, this will be fitting on like this. Okay, but what we need to do first, there's a spacer. It's got a little lip on it. That needs to go in so that the lip sits against the crank. Then you've got the drive for the oil pump. Sits against there. And then the lock-in washer. Oh, what it should do, little dab of engine oil. Okay, so one seal goes there, another seal just goes in there. Oil pump, sometimes you need a little bit of play in the oil pump 10, 25, 25. .32mm socket needed. I'm just gonna quickly zang this up. 186 Newton meters. So when you put this arm in, you need to make sure that it sits on the lower side of the arm. The little spring piece sits underneath the arm. The spring leg goes against the case here. And then this whole assembly gets torqued to 30 Newton meters. There is a seal supposed to go here, but I'm only putting this cover on loosely again because he's got his plates that he wants to put on there. So we're just going to stick this on for now. I'm going to stick the strainer in. Okay, so we're going to wrap up that first part of the video now. So that's the bottom end complete. What I'll do for the next set of videos is hopefully we're going to start getting the cylinders and everything mounted back onto the engine. Then we'll get the heads in. I'll do a piece on how the Testastretta valve train is set up, because it will have been different to what you would have seen with the Desmo Quattro engine. So I think there's a useful piece to learn there. Okay, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And then finally, if you're not a subscriber, would really welcome you to the channel. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, plenty more content coming up. We'll hopefully get this finished and on the dyno in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully out on the track towards the back end of March. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers for now. Bye.